I'm your host, Sulaiman Mohammad Rafi, and here is my YouTube channel, Zamir Universal. Now, the whole world's peace is at edge because of one mad man, just like Adolf Hitler. We have now Emperor, Donald J. Trump, most immoral, womanizer, child molester, liar, and man who pays just $3,000 in income tax. You can understand with a man who has property of billions and trillions of dollars. Only just, I think, Mar-a-Lago in Florida is worth billions, let alone in Scotland and Trump towers everywhere in big cities of the world, and then in New York. And his state is spread all across there. And to put such a man, how could he have any feeling for a poor man who has to fight for bread for him or his children and a roof over his head? This guy is now looked as a mad dog. He is now spreading his arms and order after order, only executive orders, because he does not believe in the teamwork. So no matter, nothing, he does not believe in the collective wisdom or take the matter to the Congress, the people's elected representatives or Senate. Executive order, and executive order. And in the past few months, what he has, exported 80,000 people, which were required. And what he has done to California, what he has done to Texas, all those people you will see outside in the roads. And I just happened to pass through the North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, New York, and Michigan, some of the states in connection with my lectures. And I just was appalled to see there was no one in the construction industry. There was no Latino, there was no Mexicans, there were no people with cheap labor who were helping those architects and those real estate developers. They're all gone. And I saw the rotten iceberg. I saw hundreds and thousands of acres in California where the farmers have now stopped growing. And imagine now the cost of living out there, because you will have to be importing even the basic things which you grew and you could sell to yourself, people. And due to the just stupidity and idiocy of one person, an abnormal, a mentally deranged, unfit, and you elected him first in 2016 and now back again now. And that's not even a year complete now. And see what a damage he has done with his tariff trade war, with his, war, and what he's swallowed his spit on Gaza. And he cunningly, as he, on the side told his stepson, Netanyahu, a war criminal, because they're both war criminals, and that you annex as much as you think. How dare you do it? If you escape the worldly thing, you will die like a dog. Just get the video of Ariel Sharon and see that 8 years he was on life stove till his whole body was liquefied, and a foul smell spread out all outside the hospitals. And the hospitals authorities begged, bury this liquid, dirt, filth, pussy, but before the body bursts. And this is the kind of death you are going to face. Watch my word, write on every wall on your Mar-a-Lago, in your White House. Tell your Ivanka, the Jewish, and tell the whole world that you are a convert Jew. You are worse than a human being even. And you did the same thing with Ukraine. You are doing the same thing now with Venezuela. And you will never live in peace or let others live in peace. And I think about time this man is thrown out of the White House. Jeffrey Epstein, he killed them. And the liar now recently killed is again. Every finger is pointing towards this, the mad king, that he killed them, so that all the records are gone. So why don't you learn from history and impeach this man and get rid of this man and get those people without whom you cannot manage your farms, you cannot manage your services industries, construction industries, even your green belt outside on the roads. They're all gone. And who do you think, any white man or any relatives, and let alone this bloody scheme of 1 million and then 5 million golden card with his picture at the back of that card. No one from the world with the right mind to a bankrupt country who is in debt of $38 trillion, will come to the live that country. It's no more a golden state. It's no more a state for equal rights as it used to be stuck on the airport in Washington and New York. It's no more there for equal opportunity. It's not hell. It's not an equal opportunity. This guy like Hitler wants all the whites and all the, he's not Christian, so he wants all the Jews, or he wants all the, the people who are drunkard, who are homosexual, people who are child molester, and he is the guy who would want that all around him: filth, dirt, and foul smell.
Welcome back to the Weekend Prime Time. Congress is set to come back tomorrow, and they have a lot on their plates. In 2 days, there's the special election in Tennessee's 7th congressional district, which will either grow or shrink the GOP's narrow House majority. In addition, Congress only has 12 legislative days left on the calendar to get anything done. Not to mention, all eyes will be on December 19th, when the DOJ is expected to turn over those Epstein files. And this couldn't come at a worse time for Trump and the GOP. A new Gallup poll shows Trump's approval rating has dropped to 36%, the lowest number yet for his second term. That same poll shows support for Republicans in Congress has cratered to 23%, also the lowest of Trump's term so far. Now, polling is obviously merely a snapshot of a moment in time. Anything can change between now and the midterms, but as it stands, the GOP is in defense mode with just less than a year left until those crucial midterm elections. Joining us now are Dean Obeidallah, host of the Dean Obeidallah Show on SiriusXM, and Stacey Vanek Smith, reporter for Business Week and co-host of the Everybody's Business podcast. Stacey, welcome to the show. You are a newbie for us, so I want to start with you a little bit.
Thank you.
You've been working a lot on the affordability issues,
yes.
Such as they are. Very hot topic these days. Politicians have finally caught on. How do you see political messages between the two parties shaping up around that issue going into the next year?
Well, it's interesting because I think the economy is a lot of what got Trump and the Republicans elected in the first place, specifically the job market being as stagnant as it was and the price of things rising past what people could pay. If you look at things like the cost of living, it's gone up 25% since the beginning of the pandemic, which most of us have not seen our pay rise 25%. It's interesting that a lot of those issues are the same issues that got Trump and a lot of the Republicans elected. Now, because they've persisted, could be a lot of what's causing problems in the midterms.
Dean, Trump's White House, his, aides haven't necessarily done the best job always of defending him and messaging for him when they get on cable or broadcast news. I want you to take a listen to what Kevin Hassett, the National Economic Council Director, said on Fox this morning.
Turkey prices were down 19 cents. I bought two different ones because some other show was criticizing me because I said, oh, generic turkeys are pretty good. So I made two this time, and I didn't really notice a difference. So buy the cheaper turkey next year, folks.
Dean, when you see folks like Kevin Hassett come out and I guess come back with a defense after being criticized over his turkey purchases, do you see this administration as getting back in step with the American public on this issue?
Not at all. I mean, look at the leader of the administration, Donald Trump, who said the economy is the greatest ever. He keeps saying that. He says the idea of higher prices are like a Democratic hoax. Look, in Trump's defense, his personal economy is great. Reporting is he's worth $3 billion more now than he was when he came to office. So Trump is doing great. Americans were not. There was a Fox News poll last week. 76% of Americans, 76% viewed the economy negatively, including a big chunk of Republicans for the first time are feeling the pain. So you can spin everything. You can say 2020 election was stolen and investigation of a witch hunt. You can't tell people they're paying less or more than we're at the store. And we are all paying more, and it hurts.
Stacey, there's been a lot of talk about the cost of eggs, and now the conversation seems to be switching a bit to the cost of electricity. And from relatives in the Northeast, relatives in the South, I hear complaints. Oh, electric bills, they're getting so high, and we're going into winter now. And some blame is being heaped on these new AI data centers. How much of that is politically convenient versus the actual reality of why these costs are rising for consumers?
Well, the rising costs are very real. The cost of electricity is up 40% since 2020, which is just enormous. And like you say, we're going into winter. A lot of people do not have a choice about how much electricity to use, or you don't want to have to make the kind of choices that you have to make. And it's true. Data centers that are powering AI are very thirsty for electricity. So we've seen data centers cropping up all over the country, and a lot of the grid having to be replaced or updated, which has been very costly. Now, is this because of AI? It is, but AI is also creating a lot of jobs at the same time. It seems to be propping up a lot of the construction industry. It's very much a double-edged sword, so politicians will use it to spin things the way that they want to spin things. But it really is, it is raising electricity costs. It is creating jobs. Like so much of AI, I think it's very much a double-edged sword.
Well, we saw all those issues impact the race in Georgia. Democrats getting onto a commission that they hadn't been on since the early 2000s, I think. So, Dean, what are you going to be looking for out of Tennessee this week? It seems like the emerging story around Afton Bain is that she kind of wins no matter what. If she wins, it's a shocking upset.
Right.
If she loses by just a little bit, it's a really bad sign for Republicans in a deeply red district at a time when people are so alarmed about the cost of living.
You know who's really alarmed about that race? Donald Trump. He is panic posting today. This is a district in Tennessee that he won by 22 points. Right now, the polls have it within. One poll had it 2 points, others are 5 or 6. That's probably more realistic. That's a hard place to win. But the fact Donald Trump is going all in, Speaker Mike Johnson's doing events on Monday, they are panicking. They lose that seat. And look, they're in a dark place right now as a party. I don't know how they can articulate that things are not falling apart, the wheels are falling off if they lose that seat in Tennessee. Donald Trump, lame duck status, we could talk about it all day. If they lose there, it's done. He's already losing control of his party, and his base isn't happy with him. I don't know what power he has left. He just goes play golf, hang out, and sleep a lot in the Oval Office. He'll just nap more, I think. It'll be fine.
Well, he could put pressure on his party to do something about the ACA subsidies that are expiring. I mean, to the extent that, again, affordability is going to be the centerpiece of both of this special election in Tennessee, the elections we just had a few weeks ago, and the midterms next year. There are things that Republicans like Donald Trump could be pushing for. I mean, how do you see them messaging on these issues, given that Democrats are the party out of power? And it's very easy to say, prices are too high, blame the guys who are currently at the mantle.
Well, I think we've seen the messaging around the Affordable Care Act shift enormously. The messaging from the White House and from Donald Trump himself about, I think it's done almost a 180, about the subsidies that were put in place during COVID are set to expire at the end of this year. 22 million Americans get those subsidies. And that's a lot of voters. You do not want, millions of people losing their health care coverage right before an election. So I think we've seen suddenly the White House saying we might extend the subsidies for a couple years. Donald Trump backed off from that a little bit, but I think everybody's a little bit on the same page. You do not want a lot of people seeing their premiums double or losing their coverage entirely right before midterms.
So, Dean, the images out of the most recent state dinner with MBS at the White House, and it's a bunch of tech billionaires. I think the combined worth in the room, someone calculated over $1 trillion. It was not exactly the best MAGA populist image. Do you think that there's risk for the Republican Party being seen as giving big tech just a free hand within the party, but at the same time, you have Democrats having their own civil war with Chuck Schumer internally over becoming too corporate? So what's kind of the political ground here that actually is the winning message with the American voter?
Well, I don't think Democrats were having a civil war with Chuck Schumer. I think there's a disagreement. I think there's a need for generational change and a need for, and I don't care about the age. I don't care if you're 80. If you're a good fighter, that's what Democrats want. If you're 25 and you're a corporate Democrat, that's not where we're going as a party right now. We need fighters who are going to stand up, fight for people, the working class, not for the big interests like Wall Street, where we're not far from. So that's a bigger issue. Remember, Democrats used to be bad at messaging. Republicans have no message. On the ACA, they went from, you're trying to subsidize corporations, to Donald Trump going, oh, we're going to help, to, oh, he has to back off because Republicans don't want to do it. I have no idea what this party stands for, except what is good for Donald Trump personally. And his base says we can't afford things. What's he do? Put up a new website yesterday to complain about people in the media who are too mean to him, and how I'm not on that list is beyond me.
You're mad you're not on that list?
You're trying. I know you're trying.
Put Dean on the list.
Trump, if you're watching, put me on the list. I've earned it. The point is, that's what his focus is. It's revenge. It's the Caribbean. It's threatening people, and it's not helping people in need. And that's what people want. His own base needs the help right now to pay for bills, and he doesn't care.
Yeah, but what is the Democratic message then? Who's leading that charge? Who's at the forefront of shaping a vision that actually is appealing to younger Democrats?
Me? No, I think Zoran Mondani is certainly a leader there. There's others of that group who are talking about affordability, and the difference is they have credibility. Like, younger people hear them and know they are talking because they're in their 30s as well. They know what it's like to delay milestones in your life. You can't get married, have a family, or buy a house, all things that people want. So I think the younger generation, it's like peer-to-peer. They can connect more with 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds than people who are older, who live just a different life. So Chuck Schumer's not a bad guy. He's just the wrong guy at the wrong time. We need fighters who are more connected with the people.
It does feel, to some of what I think is part of your point, at least, like politicians on both sides right now are leaving the sort of future battle over AI on the table. Like, no one's quite staking that out as their thing. And Americans on both sides are very uncomfortable with the way the world seems to be rapidly changing, very fearful about what this means. And if someone were able to figure out how to connect that to their cost of living fears, their sort of existential worries about what their place is in the economy in the future, I think they would find a really winning message, and people very excited about them. They just don't know.
I think you're seeing some politicians get wise to this, and that to the extent that electricity prices, for example, are becoming a huge issue around the country, AI data centers, big tech, very convenient scapegoat. So I think you're going to see a lot more coverage of that going into the next election.
Dean and Stacey, thank you so much for being with us.
यूनिवर्सल टेलीविजन को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें, उसके बाद बेल बटन पे क्लिक करें और अपने कमेंट्स के सेक्शन में अपने कीमती जो ख्यालात का इजहार ज़रूर